Mismong ang saligang batas ang nagbabawal sa pagkakaroon ng political dynasty pero wala pa rin naipapasang batas tungkol po dito makalipas ang ilang dekada. Paano mapapasa? Yung mga boboto, karamihan dyan, sila-sila rin ang involved sa political dynasty.
Magiging yung babalangkas ng batas, sila-sila rin nasa political dynasty.
No other example is as glaring as the family of Martin Romualdez and his wife Yedra Romualdez and their son. It's so glaring that when Martin Romualdez became speaker, his wife was the chair of Committee on Accounts and therefore had control over 26 billion in operational funds of the House. That's a very powerful committee. It was like a conjugal dictatorship in the House. She had 3 terms already. First as district representative and twice as Tingog party list. Martin Romualdez and Yedra Romualdez made sure that they had another seat in the House aside from their son, who is also now a party list representative of Tingog. Now, some people say this multi-party system made it easy for political dynasties to thrive. According to PCIJ, there are about 36 political party list representatives that belong to political dynasties. That's a lot. It's 50% or more. This lack of a political dynasty law and the vulnerability of the Party List Act go together because political dynasties will always find a way to beat the system. That's why up to now, there is no law prohibiting political dynasty in the Philippines. Now, the issue in our Congress today is, are they or are they not going to pass a political dynasty law that is real in the sense that it will protect the country or the people from political clans taking power simultaneously or successively. Hopefully, the 2028 elections will show a definitive choice of the people for change so that we can begin The 1987 Constitution allowed the multi-party system. If I remember correctly, before this, there was only the Nacionalista and the Liberal Party. And then Marcos Ferdinand declared martial law.
And so it is that as I promised all of you, my countrymen, on that fateful morning of September 23, 1972, when I announced the proclamation of martial law,
And created his own single party called the Kilusang Bagong Lipunan. And after the People Power Revolution and President Cory Aquino was chosen by the people to be president, she appointed members of a constitutional commission to write the 1987 Constitution. This Constitution allowed a multi-party system, which we have now. Now, some people say this multi-party system made it easy for political dynasties to thrive.
The rich and powerful are using the party list system to make a mockery of this particular supposedly noble intention.
Well, when there was a system that only allowed 2 parties, the Liberal and Nacionalista Party vetted their candidates. And party membership and performance was one of the criteria. With that kind of 2-party system, it is not as easy as a multi-party system for political dynasties to thrive. Because the party vets the candidates strictly. Because there's competition inside the party. Now, in the 1987 Constitution, in Article 2, Section 26, the state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities for public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. So, since 1987, we've had this constitutional provision, but it has no effect. Up to now, political dynasties thrive in the Philippines, and it got even worse with the party list system being used by political dynasties to expand their political power, not only in their districts and their provinces, but also nationwide.
Wala naman dynasty sa Pilipinas kasi we have free and open elections eh. Ang konsepto kasi ng dynasty, no, is hindi yung magkakamag-anak o marami kayo. Pero ang konsepto nun, minamana nyo eh.
Ang boto is part of the democratic process, no? Tao naman ang dumipisite. Bakit natin magbabawalan? Kung qualified naman.
This lack of a political dynasty law and the vulnerability of the Party List Act go together because political dynasties will always find a way to beat the system. That's why up to now, there is no law prohibiting political dynasty in the Philippines. Now in Asia, there's also no law prohibiting political dynasty. But if you look at, let's say, India, Gandhi, or South Korea, family members also took turns holding power, but because their elections are not as vulnerable as ours for fraud or vote buying, it doesn't seem to be a big problem in other Asian countries. Of course, in the United States, there's no anti-political dynasty law because, well, they have a mature democratic system and vote buying is unheard of. We're not just talking about not having a law of political dynasties, but we're talking about a political system where the elections are vulnerable to vote buying.
Ilang insidente ng umano'y vote buying ang naitala sa mga probinsya sa Lucena, Quezon. Isang botante ang binigyan umano ng kanyang kapitbahay ng sobreng may 200 piso at sample ballot ng mga ibobotong kandidato.
But for many years, this has been the norm in Philippine elections.
Ina-experience ko na rin yan, yung pagkataas bumoto, simple ka, abutan.
Sabi-sabi lang, punta kayo doon, meron daw dito abutan, mga ganon. Yung iba kasi katwira, bera na yan eh. Hindi man nila alam kung sino iboto ko. Tanggap lang sila na tanggap.
Vulnerable to fraud and in the early days or years, terrorism. If you remember, after 1986, in 1988 was the first election during the Cory administration. There was hardly any fraud in our elections. The political dynasty, warlord, congressmen did not field candidates because they were trying to feel the way. But in 1992, when it was a presidential election, these political dynasties resurged because they saw an opportunity not only in changing colors, through the multi-party system, but also in the vulnerability of our election system to fraud and terrorism. Now, the issue in our Congress today is, are they or are they not going to pass a political dynasty law that is real in the sense that it will protect the country or the people from political clans taking power simultaneously or successively. We tie this up together with the party list system because with the party list system, the political dynasties were able to expand to not only in their districts and other provinces, but to have more than two or more than one congressman or congresswoman in their family by putting them in the party list system. And no other example is as glaring as the family of Martin Romualdez and his wife Yeda Romualdez and their son. It's so glaring that when Martin Romualdez became speaker, his wife was the chair of committee on accounts and therefore had control over 26 billion in operational funds of the House. That's a very powerful committee. It was like a conjugal dictatorship in the House because Martin Romualdez not only held strong political power, he also had unbridled control of the internal funds through his wife, Yeda Romualdez. Yeda Romualdez was elected representative in 2016 when Martin Romualdez ran for senator with Rodrigo Duterte. He landed 15th and lost. And so, in the second round, after 3 years, he ran for district representative and his wife Yeda Romualdez ran for Tingog party list representative. The following cycle, after 3 years, Yeda again ran and won as a first nominee of Tingog party list. And therefore, she had 3 terms already. First, as district representative, and twice as Tingog party list. But, setting aside all delicadeza and any notion of fairness, Martin Romualdez and Yeda Romualdez made sure that they had another seat in the House aside from their son, who is also now a party list representative of Tingog. And, of course, who is to be blamed for this? The problem is, Yeda Romualdez listed her name as nominee, 6th nominee, without the people knowing it. She just kind of slid her name there. But of course, Comelec knew who the nominees were. And you can simply not look past the list when that is Tingog party list of the speaker. But instead of striking Yeda Romualdez' name out as a nominee for being disqualified for violating the three-term rule, COMELEC Chair George Garcia allowed it. And when Tingog party list third, fourth, and fifth nominee resigned or were made to resign so that Yeda Romualdez could take the seat as sixth nominee, COMELEC Chair Garcia just feigned helplessness and said that, well, it may be questioned later, but for now, there's really no obstacle. And he proclaimed, the COMELEC proclaimed, Yeda Romualdez as the third nominee, substituting the third, fourth, and fifth nominee of Tingog party list.
Yung po kasing 3, 4, and 5 na Tingog party list, either nag-resign o meron kasing nagkaroon ng conflict of interest na therefore contrary sa kanilang constitution and bylaws. Tinanggap po kasi ng kanilang pong board of directors yung mga resignation at saka yung removal, inaksyon na nila, and therefore marapat lang sana si number 6 ang makaupo. At ang pang-anim ay si Congresswoman Yeda Romualdez.
And up to now, she sits there without her case being sent to the House of Representatives Electoral Tribunal. Well, because no one petitioned against her. And when it was in COMELEC, Chair Garcia said, well, there is no petition, so there is nothing to resolve.
Or wala naman po kami natanggap na kahit na anong disqualification, opposition, and petition para sa disqualification ng kahit na sino sa 10 na yan, and therefore intact yung listahan po na yan kahit after the election.
Forgetting, very conveniently, that the COMELEC has powers motu proprio to deny violations of law or the Constitution. But will she get away with it? Politically, she's not getting away with it because Speaker Martin Romualdez became so unpopular after the flood control, ghost projects, and kickbacks issue that became a worldwide sensation.
The Philippines.
In the Philippines. Natural disaster-prone Philippines is facing its biggest corruption scandal in history.
Kailangang may managot sa naging matinding pinsala at katiwalian.
Billions of dollars meant for flood management have been stolen by contractors and government officials.
So, this business of political dynasty is making things worse. Because when power or political power is concentrated in a few or several families, then they connive, right? They connive, there's no check and balance, and there is no more access for others to be in public service. If you look at the party list system, according to PCIJ, there are about 36 political party list representatives that belong to political dynasties. That's a lot because there are only 64 seats for party lists. So that's a lot. It's 50% or more. So the party list system or the Party List Act, pursuant to the Constitution, was created precisely to give the marginalized groups and underrepresented sectors to have their chance at a seat in Congress and to give democratic space to the left. Instead, it became another source of power for political dynasties. Now, there is another problem where the contractors ran for the party lists got involved in the flood control kickbacks. So, all of these provisions in the Constitution are nothing but the promise of a true democracy for the Philippines because the political dynasties are defeating it. And according to Congressman Egay Erice, bola-bola lang.
Sabi niya, priority niya, anti-political dynasty. Alam na alam niya yung meaning ng dynasty sapagkat kaming dalawa ang author nung kauna-unahang batas na mayroong provision ng anti-political dynasty bill. Bola lahat?
Please,
Bola nun?
Because there is no way the congressmen who belong to political dynasties who are friends with political dynasty will allow their power to be curbed or end. Congressman Erice raised a very clear defect in bills that are filed in Congress.
Talagang hindi kayang bitawan ng sakap ng kapangyarihan yung mga political dynasties. Ayaw nilang kahit kaunti. Gusto pa nila madagdagan yung kanilang kapangyarihan.
Which is that the limit to relatives who can run in the same district or province is only up to second degree, not fourth degree. Fourth degree would cover first cousins, but second degree would mean a spouse, brother, or a sister. And so there is now the question of, is a anti-political dynasty law really gonna help? Or is it going to legitimize political dynasties in the Philippines? If you look at the party list representatives, there's FPJ Panday, Brian Lamanzares, who is the son of Senator Grace Poe. 4Ps has Abalos, who's the son of the Abalos family. I don't know if I'm correct, but probably the wife of Senator Jinggoy is also a party list representative. And so we have political situation in the Philippines where one politician in the family is in power and therefore has access to public funds, and will have an unfair advantage in the election of her son or his wife. Everything boils down to power and money. In the Senate, they also brag about an anti-political dynasty law that, again, limits it to second degree. What use is that if the first cousin can run? Second degree prohibition will not even work if they run in different provinces, or if one of them runs for party lists. Remember that what should be prohibited is the concentration of power, political power in the same family, not only successively, but also by substitution after the 3-term rule is over. So, my friends, flood control, kickbacks, corruption in government, disguised nepotism, all of that come from political power. And that is why the families of the elite, the political dynasties, will never easily give up power. It is up to the electorate in 2028 to be more discerning and not elect them into office. But our electoral system has a lot of weaknesses and vulnerabilities, and you know what I'm talking about.
Commission on Elections na mayroong dayang naganap ngayong eleksyon 2016 sa isang press con na sinabi ng COMELEC na may nabago nga hash code sa gitna ng pagtatali ng mga boto.
Hopefully, the 2028 elections will show a definitive choice of the people for change so that we can begin real reforms. Maraming salamat po. Attorney Guanzon po ang inyong lingkod.